Hey everyone, and welcome to Chef AJ and Friends. My guest today is none other than Dr. Joel Fuhrman, a very popular guest on this show, multiple New York Times best-selling author and founder of the Eat to Live Retreat. It is an amazing place in San Diego where you can go to heal, to just relax, to rejuvenate, and if you need to lose weight, to do that as well. And we're going to be taking a sneak peek inside. We're actually going to have a video tour because he's been on before talking about it, but we've never actually really seen it. But before I introduce him, I want to drop the big news. So in August, the last 3 days at the Tuscany Hotel in Las Vegas, I've been asked to host a plant-based conference, which really is a party, which is why it's called the Plant-Powered Party. Many of you have gotten tickets already. But what you don't know is now Dr. Joel Fuhrman is going to be the keynote speaker. So if you didn't want to come before, I know you're going to want to come now because he is not only very educational, informational, but he's hilarious. And we're going to have a comedy night, and we hope he's going to be involved in that as well. Please welcome Dr. Joel Fuhrman. Hey, do you have any openings this month or next month for people at your retreat?
Well, yeah. Well, actually, this is mid-April, so May we start to have new openings. Yeah. And you know what? It's myself and my wife, we have we've been always working very hard, and to push forward our mission to get people well, and that's the exciting thing of watching people transform our health. And we wanted to do this, but we didn't know after we started doing this how it brings us so much joy to actually have people come in, spend time with us. When they're spending a month or two with us, by the way, we get to know them in such a personal way. And we not only transform their life and their medical problems, but we actually stay connected to people that we've learned to know and have feelings for and get to know them as friends. And my wife's right next to me. She could say them too, like just that's my wife Lisa's right there. And we just it's like somewhat
Yeah, it's not only transformed them. I think Joel and I have learned so much. People are so caring, so giving, and are open to so much. And the friendships that we developed all over the world, really. But we are blessed. Everybody wants to help, right? I think in this movement, we want to help people. And what a great way that we've been able to do that. I feel so blessed in that regard.
yes.
Like an amazing
We
experience.
came up here for lunch. She was sitting at the table, and I said, just want to say that it's like a family thing. My kids are involved, my wife's involved. And we get to know people, we make friends, and so it's like bringing the reason you go to medical school is we want to change people's lives for the better. And you see people one-on-one, and they've come to me for hour visits. I've seen 20,000 people as a patient over the last 40 years. But it's a little bit different when they actually come in your home and they stay with you for a month. And instead of doing an hour visit, you're spending, weeks with them, right? And then so you really are able to impart a higher degree of healing because you can really impart people not just the nutritional science and the reasons, but you relationship build with everybody that's here, and we all have compassion for each other, and they learn to practice the robust emotional health and the relationship building that they're going to use when they go home to kind of like give them the confidence and about their own self-esteem that they're going to need to be different in the world as a nutritarian. So you're hearing noise in the background because we have a kitchen, because we have a chef right over there cooking dinner, cooking meals. And actually there's somebody there learning. One of our guests is learning some cooking techniques right there. We'll get over there later. But so if you hear some banging but anyway, so I was saying that, and then we're going to go over, then by later in a few minutes, the yoga class is going on, where they're doing some yoga and sound and just a relaxation experience they're going through. And then we'll pull some people. We'll have to stop that class for 10 minutes. I'll bring some people who are here out of that class to make some comments about what they've accomplished during their stay here so far. That'll be kind of fun to see the people that are here.
How many people come at a time? And it must be fun because they can play pickleball with you, right?
Pickleball, tennis, yeah, but there's a lot of things they could do here, hiking. But yes, we have a tennis court that has a pickleball lines and a pickleball net. So most people do use pickleball more than tennis to play on that court. So yeah, you want to see that. I can actually go around here and you can look at the pickleball tennis court and swimming pool here too. But the main thing is, so here's, oh, look at that. Can you see that view of the mountains? AJ, can you see
It's
that?
gorgeous. I mean, you can't get better weather than San Diego, too.
Yeah. I mean, look at the beauty of the natural hills to be for hiking, you know, all the natural hills and hiking around here. It's just like you're living in the
Why'd you spend so much time in New Jersey?
and course
Beautiful.
tennis court. So bright out here. I can't. You can see the tennis court. Can you see that?
It's actually, I think you're maybe getting too far away from the signal because right now all I'm seeing is me. Let me see if I can spotlight you, if that would help.
Oh, I could see the tennis court there. Yeah. Now, yeah, you can see the tennis court. I could see it. Oh, I was getting too far from the Wi-Fi.
I think that must be what is happening, possibly. But yes, I can see the tennis court now, and I can see the beautiful view. And I was asking you, why the heck did you spend so much time in New Jersey when you clearly love the West Coast?
Yeah, I love, and you can see the, can you see this? I don't think you can see the swimming pool through the palm trees. You know what I mean? But if I walk too far down to the swimming pool, I'm afraid that we'll lose connection. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But you
and you,
can,
you have water aerobics classes, don't you?
yes, the swimming pool we keep at 86 degrees, and the water aerobics, and we have water aerobics class 3 times a week. It's really good because a lot of people, if they're, some of them don't have the, their backs or their knees, they're heavy and they can't handle too much hiking or too much of the other exercise. And the water takes the stress off the joints, so they can do a lot of aerobics in the water. And because it's always beautiful here and the water's warm, they can do that all year round.
Oh, that
And,
sounds amazing.
they can go in the whirlpool too. So yeah, there's lots of stuff, but we always have these activities where we have some type of exercise that's geared towards their levels, of course, but they're also learning about different styles and types of exercise that they can come up with their business plan of what's the best thing for them to do. And we also have equipment here, like the power plates and other types of equipments in the gym they can use. And I also have a soft wave TRT machine, which is a high-tech machine that heals joint problems like in frozen shoulder or carpal tunnel syndrome or back spinal stenosis or knee meniscal injury in the knee or or chronic ankle osteoarthritis in the ankle or feet it's magically through a series of fluid and electrical magnetic shocks breaks up calcifications and scar tissue, doesn't hurt normal tissue, and encourages stem cells to come in the area and heal. So we have lots of people here who, when they got here, there's a guy here now, you probably could meet him. He was in a wheelchair when he came in, and he lost weight, got healthier. His mentally, he controlled his diabetes is well controlled now. He's a type 1 diabetic. Now he's taking maybe a quarter of the insulin he used to take, but he's up out of the wheelchair, can walk around, got his full mental function back. And so he's now, active and able to do stuff. It's crazy. I have another lady here that you'll meet who was here, and she had a non-healing leg ulcer for 8 months, going to wound care centers where she couldn't close the wound in her leg, due to obviously poor circulation. But applying the soft wave treatment with the diet and everything else we're doing, within that first month, the wound healed up and sealed over. And now she no longer has that chronic ulcer in her leg. But so we see generally people not just losing weight, but their psoriasis goes away, their brain function improves, their asthma gets better, they get off their blood pressure medications, their type 2 diabetes goes away usually in the first 3 weeks they're here. So we're able to, compared to giving a 1 hour medical visit, like I did my whole life, and you don't know whether the person's really doing what you want them to do, and you don't know whether you're following up and they're going to come back or not, and you don't know whether they really feel they can do this at home. The fact that we're teaching them and working with them, controlling their environment and customizing the food, particularly for their individual needs and making sure that's exactly what they're eating, it's just transformative. as to the type of results we get because I can control all aspects. I become their doctor. You go to a lot of health retreats and maybe the doctor's name is, the other people are taking care of them or interns, but I'm obviously the one taking care of the people, and I can adjust their medications or change their medications or their supplements appropriately because I'm going to be seeing them, their whole time they're here, and things change over the month, right? So it's like it gives the people especially the people that need this, the close contact with me and my nurse that's here, to be even to observing them on a day-to-day basis, making those modifications, which maybe we're cutting back on medications. Maybe we're dropping insulin use a little bit every day. Maybe we're monitoring the blood pressure medication, we're cutting it in half and we're waiting for 2 days and then we're going to discontinue it. It's a type of care you can't really get anywhere else. And of course, the main thing is that people have difficulty staying on a diet and losing weight. And a lot of people just don't get it and can't do it on their own. It's too difficult. But once they do it with our guidance and they figure out their caloric window, how to make the food taste really great, see the results they're getting, and go through all those extra tools and tips that we do with our teaching. And that teaching involves my staff, my food addiction specialists, my wife is involved in the teaching too. And, teaching them how to navigate how to go home and do this and how to navigate the website and how to test, how to make it easy to cook this way. So they're getting a lot of training, a lot of personal hands-on instruction, and all geared towards them having the skills they need when they leave here to continue the process. Because it's so much of a waste of people's time and money when they go to these health retreats and they do good while they're there and they lose weight on this really strict diet, and then they go home and they gain the weight back. And it's like, what, they just waste their money and waste their time. So here it's a really different focus on that they're learning the skills they need. So we're sure that they can do this when they go home. And they've spent enough time here to retrain their taste muscle and to learn how to chew really well and to practice that. And also to practice the other features of lifestyle medicine, like good emotional health. How do you train and practice good emotional health? How do we practice having gratitude? How do we practice having compassion for people around us? How do we practice liking the world every hour and appreciating our lives? And how do we see the beauty in the food and what we're eating and the magic it has to make us healthy and be grateful for what we're going through and this opportunity we have to have a really good life free of fear and be at peace with ourselves and in our future. And we also have, in the morning, if they choose to join, we have meditation going on in the morning that's led by Monty, and he does a great job with wisdom teachings. And he's had a lot of background in Buddha-based wisdom teaching. And so he comes on Zoom and does that in the morning, and people should go for a morning walk and then come back and do a little bit of meditation. And then of course, we have breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And we have 4 chefs that are here. 4 chefs. One of our chefs, actually, his wife got sick, but now we have a chef here right now who's not our typical chef, but she's really great because she's our nurse. Our nurse, MJ, loves to chef. It's the craziest thing. She's been working with the other chefs, and now she's right over there cooking our meals. You'd say, hey, MJ, say hi to everybody. They're on YouTube.
Hi, YouTube. Hi, MJ. I'd love to see what she's cooking. It sounds like it's a real family affair there.
Yeah. So MJ, who's our fantastic nurse, she's so caring and compassionate. People love her, but she has a lot of other skills. So here she is now. Actually, she's working on dinner, I guess, because she's actually doing some chefing, right? Yeah.
Chefing.
She's
Chef hat on.
Yeah.
That is cool. Talk about having lots of different skills. So Susie, who's watching live, said, Dr. Fuhrman, have you had any luck with somebody with fibromyalgia in reducing their pain, etc.?
Oh, that's my bread and butter. Yes, of course. It's when you have the opportunity to really get to the bottom of a person's problem, you can really solve things that people can't solve without actually seeing the person on an ongoing basis. But yes, absolutely. The whole program, we're talking about what fibromyalgia means. What it means is that you have painful spots on your body, spasm, and sometimes you're fatigued. And there's a lot of factors with regard to a combination of lack of nutrients in the cells and too much toxicity in the cells, which we're working on. But simultaneous to that, once these tissues go into spasm and you get these knots, these tender nodules. Even after you eat healthfully, these tender nodules don't resolve. So the fact that we have massage therapy, we have deep tissue therapists here, and we combination of stretching, deep tissue, and the soft wave machine, we can get the muscles that are tightened. And also, we're not treating just the trigger points like they do with some people inject the trigger points. We can treat the whole muscle from origin to insertion and get the whole muscle to relax, allowing blood flow to come back and nutrients to go into the tissues. So remember, it's not nutrients you consume, it's nutrients get delivered to the tissues. And sometimes people need body work to enable to get the nutrients to soften up the tissues and increase the blood flow to get that, like the woman who had the non-healing ulcer. We fed her healthy, but we had to get the blood flow back to the tissues again. And we have that equipment to accommodate that. And we have the knowledge and equipment, of course, to accommodate fibromyalgia and conditions like that. For example, just a few months ago, we had a woman here who couldn't dress herself anymore. She couldn't get herself dressed. She couldn't move her hands. And she was told she needed bilateral carpal tunnel surgery so she can start to, and so we said, don't do the surgery. Just come out here first. Let's see what we can do. I'm sure we could help you. And of course, she stayed 2 months, but even at the end of the first month, she had back abuse of her hands again, and she didn't have carpal tunnel anymore. And the combination of obviously the nutritional treatments with the physical modalities we were giving her to relax the tissue and increase blood flow to the area, and they were able to get back function again. That was really, it's so rewarding for the individuals and it's rewarding for us. There was one person that came here, it was kind of an interesting story, who came here overweight, a little early dementia, out of control diabetes. And when they came in, the first day she was here, she fell down.
Ooh.
And we saw her lying on the floor in the room. And I said, this was not a good person to be here. She's not healthy. You have to be able to, she's not a person that, she needs more ongoing care with, at a level of care, maybe in a nursing home or someplace that we don't accommodate here. And so I called up her children, and they were both lawyers, by the way. And they said, please let her stay there. I said, well, she's an unwitnessed fall. She has to go to the emergency room to get a head CT to be checked. They said, no, don't send her anywhere. We'll write you a permission that that we're telling you not to do it on our instructions. We don't want her back in the hospital again. We don't want her put in a nursing home. She's just deteriorating under those conditions. We want you to take care of her. And I said, well, then you have to have a nurse or somebody to keep an eye on her. And I said, well, can we pay the nurse extra to come to stay? Blah, 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 blah. We went back and forth. I told her I wasn't comfortable here. I finally gave in and said, okay, we'll give her some extra care. We'll let her stay here another week or so, and we'll see how she does. But if she falls again, she has to leave. We can't put ourselves at this kind of a risk. So I kept her there. And what do you think happened?
She got well.
Unbelievable. She got her mental function back. She was like, her dementia went away. She was able to walk again, and she was like, got her stable. We have these things where you can stabilize your gait. We have these boards that you work on. They're called 60 up balance training. So she got her balance back. She got her walking back. She got her mental function back. She got her diabetes control, and she could communicate. And she was really a smart woman who was emotionally well. It was just her physical and medical conditions were keeping her in this semi-demented, unbalanced state. And her kids were right. The only place she could have ever been, they said, if you put her in a nursing home, she's going to deteriorate further. And I was kind of like, objecting and saying, no way. But they pushed me into it. And what happened is they were right. She got better. And we kind of like gave her back to having a normal life again when she left. It was so incredibly, even surprising from my point of view. You know what I mean?
Well, that's a great testimonial. How many guests do you have at one time, typically?
Well, right now we have 15 rooms. So you figure we have, if like 2 or 3 are couples in the rooms and other people are mostly single. So probably we have like 18 people here at a time.
Wow. And do you guys eat all your meals together?
They eat all the meals together. We don't always eat our meals here with them, but obviously we do a lot, but not, not in this location. We're not here eating every meal with them.
What's a typical day of eating look like? And is everyone eating the same thing or?
Kind of, they could be eating the same thing, but don't forget, you always have individuals that have special needs. Like if we have a person here that maybe they have a Gleason 6 prostate cancer or a intraductal, a ductal invasive lobular carcinoma with the rest, right? There's some cancer, so they're coming here and they're looking to get healthy. I'll put them on juicing, a 3-part juice twice a day. So even though we serve juice 3 times a week, I might have some people on more juice than that because of their medical conditions, because their level of nutrients are too low in their tissues, and their appetite is not enough to get their tissue nutrients up fast enough. So we'll give them juicing. Sometimes we have people with food allergies, and the chefs have to make special things. Maybe people can't have, onions in whatever they're eating or something, you know what I mean? So we accommodate people's individual nutritional needs, even though if you have no individual requirements or need for that, then you could just eat everything, right? But sometimes I have people have certain individual idiosyncratic, to them, that we have to customize the diet a little more. But generally it's similar. But keep in mind that both the breakfast and the lunch is like a buffet. So you can take what you like, you don't take what you don't like. The buffet for breakfast has, some grain, ground seeds, frozen berries, maybe a chia pudding, different things they could, maybe lunch might have a salad with tomatoes and onions and arugula and bok choy and carrots and but there could be things today there was fresh chickpeas that were like the green fresh chickpeas. Then they had some edamame on the salad. And then sometimes they have like some home fermented vegetables maybe that have no salt in them, but are fermented like a fermentation process. And they had a delicious Russian salad dressing. And they had, I don't know, there's a lot, that could be a lot of different options on the salad. For me, I'm not usually using all the options they have because I can't fit it all in. I'd probably like to eat some of those raw vegetables with my crudités before dinner. And I can't eat all the different, because I'm still having the vegetable bean soup and some fruit with the lunch too. So there's different types of fruit, and there's usually a vegetable bean soup. And what makes the dinner unique too is it's plated. It's not a buffet. They get a plated dinner, right? Dinner was a little fancier dessert, but don't forget, dinner here is at 5:00 p.m. That means people are finished eating by 5:30, 5:45. So they do that 4 hours of no eating before they go to bed at night. They learn to eat earlier and lighter at night with a delicious tasting dessert. And the dessert is good because it tells people you're done with eating for the day. You have this is about the size of your dessert that you should be eating. And once you eat that, you shut down the restaurant and you clean your teeth and you go out and you do your activities, your fun evening activities, and you don't put any more calories in your mouth. So they shut off their eating. And even if some people can choose to have a tasting dessert, the dessert's even in different sizes because obviously a person may be 6'3" and another person may be 5 foot tall, and there's different levels of health and activity. A guy came here from New York last month who was a marathon runner, and he was a young, healthy guy, but his cholesterol was chronically high on a plant-based diet because he kept, so we fixed that. We got his visceral fat in the favorable range. He adjusted his nutrition accordingly. He doesn't need statin drugs. His cholesterol's back to normal. And now he just ran the marathon at the best time he's ever done in his whole life after leaving the retreat, has the best outcome. And I'm mentioning him is because obviously everybody's eating the same amount of calories. Some people need more food because they're like this guy needed much more food than a person who's relatively inactive, who is not in great shape. So of course, we have all the capacity to handle individual needs here.
Nice. Do you ever get families or husbands and wives coming together?
That's what we want to have happen. And about half the time it does happen. So we want that because you can imagine how much easier it is. And sometimes what happens, it's really kind of cool, is that like this, you're going to hear a guy today, hear one of the people today who's here actually, maybe even 2 of them. He comes in here and I don't know that he's not sure he wants to be here, even though he's pretty overweight and sickly, It's kind of his wife that pushed him into being here, you know what I mean? So in the first week or so, we're kind of fluctuating and saying, is he really going to make it? Is he going to stay here? But now that he's here, he's like a different person. He's here the second month. He loves it here. He's so excited about what he accomplished. So even the people that come here who maybe were pushed into it by their family or by their spouses that aren't thrilled to be here, once they hear the lectures, participate in the program, do the learning, feel so much better, they kind of brighten up and get excited and want to stay longer even, you know what I mean? So that's transformative. But we've had over the years people who've been like forced to be here by their families. They don't even want to be here, who come around. It's kind of cool. That's also kind of cool. Oh, are people coming up? Here's Marie. What time is it now? It's almost 2:00. You want to take a break and see some of the people who were here? Take a look at some of the people.
Sure, or I know that Jenna's online if she wants to show us maybe some areas you didn't show us. Quick question, Debbie's saying, is this located in Orange County? San Diego's San Diego County, isn't it?
Yeah, it's North County. It's North County, San Diego. It's not Orange County, but it's not far from Orange County. But
Right, it's about 2 hours. Mhm.
yeah, an hour and a half, I guess.
Yeah.
So here we can walk over this way. There's MJ again, cooking.
And I'm happy to show you guys this side of the retreat as well.
Except that your
Oh.
camera's off, Jenna.
Oh, here's Phil over there. Look at that. There's Phil. He's by the pool table.
Oh, you have a pool and a pool table.
Yes, yes. And a ping pong table outside. And here's Marie. Hey, Marie, you want to say hello?
Hello. I'm a happy participant and so grateful to be here. I just told, is that enough?
No, no, no.
Okay.
No, keep going. How's the food, Marie? How's the food?
Oh, my goodness. I've been eating this way by myself, without any salt, any flavoring, just alone, bare bones. The food is amazing. And it's actually, you can taste the love. It's so, I mean, everyone knows that Dr. Fuhrman is brilliant, but the whole staff is amazing. And I didn't know that he was going to be a compassionate person as well. I should have gathered that, but I've already transformed and I'm here for 3 months. I've still got lots to do, but I'm just so grateful. And I was fortunate to have some inheritance from my mother. And I would tell people, even if you don't have the money, go into debt for this. There's nothing more valuable than your health. And this is the only, well, it's scientifically proven, but I knew for myself with having used a lot of pharmaceutical drugs and surgery, this is the only way that I can really turn the trajectory of my health and life around. So
Well, it sounds amazing.
it is completely amazing. Thank
So
you.
nice. So nice.
Nice to meet you, Marie. Wow, that's well, you know, that was completely unscheduled and unscripted. So that's
I hired her to come from a talent agent,
well, she did a great job.
a paid actress.
That's funny.
Hey, Phil, you want to say something? Sure. Oh, here's this guy here who Phil, I never know if I've seen him before, but hey, Phil, how you doing?
That's AJ.
That's AJ.
Hi, Phil. Hi, Phil. How are things at the Eat to Live retreat? Do you like it?
You want the truth? Because I'm not a paid actor, so I no. Things have been miraculous, beyond phenomenal, beyond all my imagination. I've heard about him a few years back, and my wife's been following you and Fuhrman. She's been vegan, vegetarian, and on and nutritarian for a long time. So I don't know, something kicked me in the butt, and I finally decided I better sign up. I've been here 6 weeks, down 19 pounds, off of 4 medications, and loving, I mean, the staff, everybody, the food's great, the swimming pool's great. I mean, everything, what an experience. And I can't wait to share it with anybody and everybody I see and talk to.
That sounds amazing. Are you enjoying the food?
Yeah, no, all of it. Because coming from home, because my wife's, nutritarian, and been following, Dr. Fuhrman and his recipes, and a handful of yours as well. So coming from a home where, that was served more, it was me that would cheat and, be going by, a restaurant and like, oh yeah, a quick double animal cheeseburger, and other crap. And just got myself in a bad way.
Phil, was there, if I can ask you a tough question,
Yeah.
was there part of you who felt like maybe this was too hard to do it and maybe you couldn't do it and maybe this wasn't for you and maybe you would fail? Was there a negative part of you that you were worried about this?
Before getting here.
Before getting here,
I
yeah.
was psyching myself out. Man, this is going to be like a Nazi war camp, and I don't mean anything by that. But anyway, no, everything from walking through the doors and Tracy and everybody here, throwing out the red carpet or rolling out the red carpet, and everything. And when I first saw the meals, I'm like, oh, that's not enough.
Yeah.
And I have not been hungry between breakfast to lunch or lunch to dinner. Never getting hungry through the day. Sleeping better and better each night.
So you had a little trepidation, trepidation, but it went away within the first few days you were here. It helped you get over it.
Seriously did.
It's yeah,
Seriously,
okay.
it did.
Okay, cool. That's
did.
cool, Bruce. Well, thanks.
All right, thank
Appreciate
you.
that.
Meet you, AJ. I can't wait to tell my wife.
Nice to meet you. Yeah. Well, so far, 2 for 2, Dr. Fuhrman.
Oh, here's some more people. Oh, here's 2 lovely individuals. First, we have here Phoebe. Here's the person that I mentioned to you came back because last time she was here, is it okay I mention your leg?
Yeah, totally.
That she had the non-healing ulcer on her leg,
Yes.
you know, right?
Yes. Yeah. I developed a open wound, a venous leg ulcer on the inside of my right leg at the ankle. And I went to a wound clinic every week from January every week until toward the end of August, and it never healed. And I had to wear like a cast on my leg. It was like a soft cast, so I couldn't go
It's called an
swimming.
Una boot.
Yeah, Una boot. So I
Right.
couldn't go swimming or hiking or, you know, things that I like to do. And they told me at the wound clinic I should be prepared for it never to heal. And it also hurt quite a bit.
Painful, yeah.
Yeah, so I had to
Yeah.
take things like Advil that I'm not supposed to take occasionally because it hurts so much. And so I came here September 1st, and I was going to stay for just 1 month, but Dr. Fuhrman suggested 2 months, which was totally right. And 3 days before I left at the end of October, it was completely healed. So
That's a miracle. And I bet you have, visual proof if somebody really needed to see that leg.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's like that's the exciting part. We have so many miracles that people hear, and because the body has this miraculous self-healing powers, when we're giving it all the right tools, and we also use soft wave on your leg too, right?
Yeah, but
Soft wave treatment to help circulation, improve circulation. There, it wasn't just a diet, you know what I mean? And we also were able to change her dressings and change the wound and change the Una boot. So she had wound care, she had treatments, and she had everything she needed here. So it was good.
yeah.
That is so cool. What's the youngest guest you ever had, and what's the oldest guest you ever had?
My mother just left. She's 97.
Oh, why didn't you keep her? We want to meet her.
She had to go to therapy because she fell and broke her arm about 2 months ago. So but her arm's all better. It healed up so good. But so she had to leave to go to therapy for her arm.
But did you say she was 97?
Yeah, 97.
That's amazing. And she plays cards with the patients, right? Or those guests?
Yes, she does. She well, at our retreat, we came to this location from our other location. We're going yes, when the retreat was close to her house, and which it will be again, we're going to shift back. She would come there almost every, a few nights a week and lead games and cards at night after dinner. And now she doesn't do that. Now she comes for lunch mostly, not for dinner and doing the games, but she did do that a lot. But what's interesting is that when my mother had her, my mother's husband passed away, not, my stepfather, then she came and then we moved her out here about a mile from the retreat, and she started eating the meals here. And when she got here, her kidney function wasn't that good. She had a creatinine was elevated, and she was on eating 3 blood pressure medications to control her blood pressure. Wasn't that bad. It wasn't that good. She was still like 90 years old. Wasn't bad. It wasn't terrible health, but kind of frail and, worried about her. But over the years she's been here, her kidney function went back to normal, and she doesn't need blood pressure medication anymore. So even it healed at the age of 90 to 90. She's healthier now at 97 than she was when she got here at 90. You follow me? She was eating healthier than most people, but not as healthy as she does now that she's right by me,
Matt, I hope next time you come on for any reason, we get to meet her.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, Phoebe. And then with the last person we have here, Diane. So thanks so much for joining us. She's also a guest here. We have a lot of just anything you could tell us about yourself?
Well, I'm Denise from Brazil, and
That's why you're from Brazil.
I'm from Brazil, yes. And I originally came here for a month because I I had problems in my uterus. I had a polyp that I wanted to shrink. I had shrunk fibroids with Dr. Fuhrman's diet, just reading the book. So I was already a believer, and am able to do that now for another month. So I gained 2.4 pounds of muscle. So I was very excited with that after just a month, when the average, I guess, we were told was 1 pound a month.
You
So
gained muscle and you lost fat.
I gained muscle and I lost fat, which was, unbelievable. I had never been able to gain muscle ever in my life. And I'm 62 now, so not exactly young. And, when you're back home, everybody's like, oh, you're just old, it's never going to happen. And here you really realize when you're on the diet that that's absolutely not true. And, also you hear a lot about, menopause, and that's going to make you, gain so much weight and you'll never be able to lose it. And that's clearly not true either. So it's a huge learning experience. It's a place of, love and attention, absolutely fantastic classes, not to mention the food. We have 4 gourmet chefs, and it's really, really been a game changer, I think, for my health. I'm very glad. And I decided to stay another month because I was getting such wonderful results, and I'm very happy.
Thank you.
Wow, you're not going to want to go home.
I'm not going to want to go home. Yeah, I'm already thinking of staying a 3rd month. So, and you also make incredible friends here. The people that come here have a very positive vibe, and the nurses help you a lot. And you get to meet Dr. Fuhrman and see a lecture in person. Because I used to watch you all the time, Chef AJ. I'm a huge fan. Thank you so much for interviewing so many people. It really helps a lot.
Thank you. Tell us what a typical day looks like for you at the Eat to Live retreat.
Well, we are here for breakfast at 8. So we do the intermittent fasting. We eat breakfast at 8. We have our lunch at noon, and then our dinner is at 5 p.m., which again was a game changer. I mean, I never knew it could make such a difference. You go to bed, your stomach is very light, and you're not hungry. Oh, that's the biggest thing for me. You're not hungry, and the portions, the salad is big, but the soup I thought was a small portion, and now I don't think that anymore. Now I've been here for a month and a half, so I'm completely satisfied. I'm never hungry, and that was a shocker because when I was at home doing the diet, I realized now I was eating too much for my body. So yeah, a lot of learning and great results, I feel.
That is fantastic. Well, congratulations.
Thank you so much. And thank you to Dr. Fuhrman and Lisa and everybody here in the retreat. And you too, Chef AJ. We love you. We're praying that everything will work out and you will beat this thing.
Thank you so much. Maybe I should come to the Eat to Live retreat. That's what I'm thinking, maybe.
Denise. Thank you. Sorry, I messed up your name at the beginning. Thanks.
Few questions, Dr. Fuhrman. Debbie wants to know if certain treatments are needed for healing. Is that cost extra, or is it included in the fee to come to the Eat to Live retreat?
That there's extra charge for soft wave and massage. Yes, there's no extra charge for my medical care, for nursing, for the regular, adjusting of taking care of their health. But those extra treatments is a charge. Obviously, that special machine costs $90,000, so there has to be a charge for it.
Wow. Thank you. There's a couple more questions. Sir, Jan would like to know, does your protocol help someone with cervical osteoarthritis and lipedema?
Yeah, well, yes. Interestingly, it sounds like I feel like it sounds too good to be true, but when you actually have these spinal osteophytes, these spikes like needles that digging into your nerves that can cause pain. You have these osteoarthritic and nerve pain that runs down your arm or your leg or your back. It seems like, how can the person get help enough for surgery? But the combination of what we do here with the shock wave, it can break up the osteophytes, because if the original technology was used to break up kidney stones, and they found it can break up kidney stones with these water waves, water shock waves, electromagnetic water shock can break up kidney stones without harming normal tissue behind the kidney, right? You're not going you're putting on the outside the body, and inside the body, it's breaking up kidney stones, and it's not harming the tissue between the kidney stone or the kidney. And it's magical technology. And now the same technology has been advanced further, obviously, to be able to leave more room, break up spinal stenosis, osteophytes, osteoarthritic lesions, and things that cause pain, that can cause chronic pain. So yes, the combination, we have the equipment and we have the knowledge and skill to help this person fix those problems.
Perfect. And Jill would like to know if the retreat can treat depression.
Well, you'd be amazed at how, first of all, I have a tremendous lot of experience taking care of people with emotional disorders. And second of all, I have a lot of tools available to us. So yes, I'm knowledgeable, not just in the way diet affects depression, but using supplements and herbs. Like we have SAMI and 5-HTP and saffron. I even have a supplement on my website called Mood Balance Biotech, which contains 5-HTP, SAMI, and saffron. And we have multiple combinations of added elements we can do to help the people feel better than depression. And when they need drugs, when those things doesn't work, and they've tried, let's say, magnetic therapy, and those things aren't working well, still there's other options that we can do to use the lowest amounts and least toxic ways to help them feel better. And I've had many people come here on medications, not on SSRI resistant people who are not doing well on their antidepressants. And we switch them over to a different combination, lower the dose of the medication, put them on a different substance, and know exactly how to get them to feel better relatively quickly. So yes, we can take care of a person. But of course, it's not a hospital. We want we don't want people that are completely bedridden. It has to be they have to be able to get themselves here comfortably.
Right. And somebody's saying, let's see, we'll find out who the person is so I can say their name. Oh, Pam says we need a cancer survivor retreat, but I'm guessing somebody with active cancer that probably wouldn't come during their treatment, right? They'd come maybe after.
Yes, that's true. We've had tremendous amount of people that come here with cancers, and don't forget there's three types of cancer. The one is the low aggressive cancers that are best treated without chemo, that are best treated with nutrition, and with the added elements of what we do here, and including the anti-cancer protocol with some fermented foods added in, they do exceptionally well. And then we have people who've had an aggressive cancer that required chemo, let's say, because chemo was indicated for that aggressive cancer, but some cells could escape the chemo, and that's where this nutritional program of nutritional excellence can prevent recurrence and can take care of the stray cells that escape the primary tumor and can help the person now survive. And I'm even in my teachings in the summits I'm running, I show one example after another of people who may have had a cancer in their past, even an aggressive cancer, that's now thriving and living 10 years later, 15 years later, 20 years later, 25 years later, including multiple people with metastatic ovarian cancer who have now survived more than 20 years and haven't had any recurrences because they followed this program. So it's the combination of the nutritional program and the special supplemental regimen geared to their condition. But keep in mind also that many people feel overwhelmed when they have a diagnosis of cancer. And the fact that they can come to a place and have the food be made for them and show them how to do it and adjust the juices and how to make the food and how to take the supplement regimen. So, they could speak to me and join the website, and I can communicate with them and they can get information, what to do this. But the fact that people can come here and have it actually, do it with them and teach them how to do it, and they can get a feel for it. It helps them a lot for them to continue the process when they leave, because it's not because this is what's wrong with cancer treatments and cancer places you go to. You can't fix this problem in a week or two, right? This is a problem that you have to have this person adopt a new way of living that they're going to do for months or the rest of their life, for years even, right? So they've got to get this down, how to the right way to live and the right supplemental regimen and the right kind of make the food and the juicing. So they've got to get it right so they know how to do it when they get home. And so we're showing them how to do it long term. Whereas you go to this place, a cancer place in Mexico or something, and they're giving you this special diet. But what good is that? It's not going to help you. You got to know what to do for the rest of your life, not what you do for them. They're giving you special treatments. They're giving you ozone. They're giving you apricot pits. It doesn't work. They're giving you stuff. If it was effective, then you would have needed to do it ongoing for months and even years. What you do in 1 week isn't going to solve anything, unless, of course, we're talking about conventional therapy. Chemo is different, but the nutritional stuff, The nutritional interventions have to be incorporated long-term in a person's life. And that's what we're teaching. We're getting people comfortable with that so they know how to do that.
Thank you. And Debbie would like to know if you offer this on an outpatient basis for 1, 2, or 3 months.
We do have people that have sometimes been in an Airbnb or been locally that came in during the day, like a day person. But when we usually don't encourage that because we have open rooms right now. We have availability of open rooms, and some of the rooms are less expensive. Maybe a smaller room, maybe a shared bathroom that's not much money, and that's less money. And so the point is, you're not going to save that much money doing it by having an Airbnb or living in a hotel. You might as well be here, get the full experience, be enmeshed with all the people, and be, and so most commonly we don't do that, but we have done it on occasion.
Thank you. And Salah would like to know, when is the next retreat? How often do you have them? And could it help with prostate cancer?
We're open all the time, right? We're filled for the month of April. So we have openings in May. So we're running May, June, July, right? So they can come in. They usually come in the first of the month, and people could stay 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, but they can come in. But right now we have openings for May 1st. The arrival date would be May 1st, and they would stay the whole month. And yes, that prostate cancer is something that is best treated with this approach. I give them, I have a whole protocol for prostate cancer based on their Gleason scores and their type of cancer they have and their Gleason scores. I know exactly what to do. It's very effective. I have scores of people whose prostate cancer whose PSAs have gone back to normal and reversed their cancers. And we're talking about, a lot of the studies on prostate cancer screening and treatments have shown that men's quality of life is impaired and it doesn't extend their lifespan. And they're much better using a natural approach rather than jumping in with surgery, radiation, hormone therapy, whatever. That utilizing this approach is effective and approved for prostate cancer in the sense that people, their doctors are supposed to tell them about watchful waiting and not move on to treatments, because prostate cancer is a slow-growing disease. And if you're watchful waiting and not moving on to treatments, why not do the best nutritional approach to push this in a better direction? It just makes perfect sense.
Yeah, thank you. Christine said, would this retreat help a person suffering from chronic Lyme's disease?
Well, yes, but let's say that that's a confusing diagnosis, because very often people had Lyme disease, let's say, and it was adequately treated, and the spirochetes are now dead, and now they have chronic inflammation and tissue damage from having Lyme disease and letting it advance too much. And now they're toxic and not feeling well in response to the withdrawal from the antibiotics and trying to clear the antibiotics, fix their microbiome, right? Because you destroyed the balance of cells, and to have post-spirochetal inflammation in their tissues. Even though those spirochetes have all been killed, you still have spirochetal fragments in the body that can cause chronic inflammation. So yes, there are people with Lyme disease who still have symptoms after the Lyme disease is treated adequately, and they think that more antibiotics are the answer. It's just like, but more antibiotics are not the answer, because you're not treating a live infection at this point. You're treating the body being toxic and be chronically inflamed, and getting the antibiotics out of the body sometimes can be symptomatic as you're withdrawing from those antibiotics. And it's hard to get a doctor who has this vision and knowledge and experience to know when a person have been treated sufficiently and needs to detoxify from treatment. And a lot of times they go to Lyme disease specialists and they get more antibiotics and more treatments when it's the opposite of what they needed. So yes, they have a different perspective. And it's kind of like, you had your damage from Lyme disease. You may have been injured by that and the treatments given for it. And now you've got to get well and build your body back and repair your body, not get more Lyme disease treatments. So yes, they have my perspective on that. That could be very helpful.
Nice. And Jesse would like to know, can you slow the progression of ALS?
I don't know for sure, because I have taken care of ALS patients several times in my career, and I think I've helped them because I think they've done really well. But I don't know for sure, because you would have to do studies where you compared enough patients, 100 ALS patients off this protocol and on this protocol, to see the average the average speed of deterioration, how long they live, and whether I'm really helping them or not. It seemed like they got help. It seemed like they did live longer and they did better, in my opinion, but I can't prove it because that I would need a control group, and I have no control group to compare it against. You know what I mean?
Yes, thank you. So here's a question from Paula. She says, in your early books, you mentioned possibly having to do 2 fasts to get off high blood pressure drugs. I'm already a healthy vegan, but I still need drugs. How would the retreat address this?
Okay. We have most of the people that come in on blood pressure medications don't need them anymore after the first 3 weeks, the first few weeks that are here. And the important thing is we're following their blood pressure closely and weaning them gradually off medications as their body improves. And we have all the tools to help them recover from blood pressure. And the second part of that question is, are there some people who, through nutritional excellence and doing everything right, where a fast might be beneficial to help them go over that hump and get to a next stage of healing? And the answer is yes, and we can accommodate those needs here as well. But we don't routinely put people on fasting when they don't need it, because the diet is so effective, and the fasting can lead to weight yo-yoing and a unhealthy yo-yoing with their diet, slowing the metabolism down too much, causing them to then eat too much after the fast and gain the weight back. So, but yes, when a person needs to fast, I can supervise them in that fast. And we sometimes have people here coming with certain autoimmune conditions, or it's necessary to do like maybe just a 5-day fast and go back on the diet again, you know, and then, so yeah, and to utilize fasting more judiciously when needed. And yes, it can be utilized, but for high blood pressure, we usually don't need to have that happen. People get well because we're monitoring, of course, visceral fat and body fat. And if they're losing weight adequately without fasting, and they're improving their tissue saturation of nutrients to make for more elasticity and less inflammation in the endothelial lining, the food and the green vegetables helps that, so we can get people well without the need for fasting.
Great. Thank you. Colleen was wondering if the retreat already existed, or did you build or design the building and the grounds yourself?
That's a great question. We have a beautiful retreat that we've designed and built, and that's still getting final approval of the finish of the construction. And so this retreat we're in right now is, we didn't build ourselves. It's 2 houses right on the same property that has the swimming pool and the tennis court that we're operating the retreat out of. It's really a beautiful place and we love it here. But eventually, when our main retreat is going through this phase of construction and finished, we're going to go back to the retreat that we built and designed ourselves. That's that we think is even better, even going to be better than this in the future.
Yeah, I actually, on the way to Mexico once, you weren't there, but you let me stop by, and it really is beautiful.
And you saw the construction going on, I'm sure, right?
Yes, yes. Steph,
Things take so much long in California. Constructions and approvals and everything, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Steph says, do you have any experience at the retreat helping people with MS?
Yes, in my latest book, I'm sure people have read, know about my latest book, Eat for Life. I think I have, at the beginning of each chapter and the end of each chapter, another case history. I framed each chapter with a case, a success story on both sides of each chapter. And I probably have about 5 or 6 cases of MS recovery right in that book, right, just with examples. But yes, MS is an example of an autoimmune disease. And these autoimmune diseases, like psoriasis, like lupus, like multiple sclerosis or MS, like rheumatoid arthritis, right? These diseases respond favorably, but the time frame for recovery is different from person to person. And you're able to, so the trick is that I have obviously 35 years of experience taking care of people with autoimmune conditions like that, and knowing when the nutrient levels in their tissues have been normalized, so it's time, so the medications can be withdrawn slowly to not exacerbate a re-exacerbation of their underlying condition. So yes, we have people with relapsing and remitting MS make great recoveries, but there are some people with progressive MS that have progressed to the point where they've had so much nerve damage so much central nervous system damage where they can't expect a complete recovery. But for most types of MS, especially the relapsing and remitting type, especially when we're catching it relatively early, we get phenomenal results.
Wonderful. And there's a question from Karen. Can you help? Well, no, excuse me, not Karen. Yeah, it is Karen. Can you help people with early Parkinson's?
We have a person that just, yes, we can help people with early Parkinson's. We had a person who just left, who was here, who got great response, is doing so much better with her Parkinson's, and and cut her medications down when she was here. And she's, yeah, yes, we can help people with early Parkinson's. That's correct.
Great. And Greg would like to know, what about non-Hodgkin's lymphoma? Can that be treated naturally if you have a tumor?
I presented that, I have this woman, her name was Irene, but in any case, yes, I've had numerous patients who've had non-Hodgkin lymphoma that refused chemotherapy and just did the nutritional program, and their tumors shrink and disappeared, and subsequent CT scans and testing showed no further signs of lymphoma. They made total and complete recoveries without chemotherapy. Yes, that has been part of my experience.
Great, thank you. And Deborah says, I was wondering if a person who cannot eat any grains, could they come and have a specialized diet?
Of course, we might serve some grain with breakfast, but that's optional. They can have a lot of other options besides eating the grain with breakfast. We usually don't have that much grains the rest of the day. There's no grains with lunch, and there's usually not grains with dinner either, but sometimes there could be a little quinoa, a little smaller, like a corn, something, there could be some kind of grain, but yeah, they could take that out and we'll substitute something else. No big deal.
And do you offer colonics there?
Absolutely not.
Oh, that's funny.
Rare that a person would need a colonic. I mean, that's very rare. Sometimes certain medications can cause, but if that's the case, we could, there are places where they could go to get a colonic if that was a case where they absolutely had to have something like that. But no, would not offer that here.
Right. And Inessa says, how do you help perimenopausal women?
It's amazing how when you live a super health, when you do everything right, your body fat's the right percent, your hormones are balanced, by balanced, I mean lower. I mean, when your IGF-1 is low, your estrogen is low, your insulin's low, particularly insulin. People don't understand how high insulin can worsen both menopausal pain, inflammation in the pelvic region, and peri and postmenopausal issues when you're, so yes, it's not going to be the magic that happens the first week or two that you're here, but as your body fat gets into the more favored range, these problems and your nutrients get high and your toxicity gets low, which could take some months, then people get tremendously less feeling of estrogen deprivation. They sleep better and they have less discomfort.
Thank you. Here's an interesting question. If a person who lost weight on a whole food plant-based diet and kept it off for years, then years later gained much of it back, is the cause always the food?
You never can use that word always, you know what I mean? But most of the time, it would probably be that the case, but there could be some medical conditions, that could have caused an issue there that we could maybe should have been looked into. A person could have developed hypothyroidism, let's say, or another condition that caused them to gain weight easier. But some person could develop, it's possible for a healthy person to develop intrinsic factor deficiency, pernicious anemia. So there's a possibility of looking into some conditions that could cause a person otherwise eating healthfully to develop something negative that's now befalling them. So there's sometimes you need a further investigation, sometimes with blood work to discern to rule out certain problems.
Thanks. I saw one other question. Where did it go? Oh, here it is. Jesse wants to know, are there biking or mountain biking trails near the retreat?
Yes, there are beautiful trails, hiking, biking. As we saw when I turned the thing around, it's like we're surrounded by mountainous and trails and hiking trails all over the place. And there's some areas where you could bike that's not too strenuous, that's more level, but there's stuff that's really strenuous for walking or biking uphill too. That's what's really nice is that I love living in California Because if I don't have that much time, I could go for a bike ride up a hill or go for a run up the hill and get like a great, in 10 or 15 minutes, get a great workout, on doing some hill work. Or I can take, or we can go on a long walk for a long hike or a long bike ride for an hour where it's not so hilly. You know what I mean? So it's really great here where we have that option to be in so close to nature. We're so close to a city and so close to an airport and so close to nice shopping, but at the same time, we're in the wilderness and so close to this natural environment where you don't have that many people living around you,
Great. And do people still work while they're at the retreat? Is that possible, depending on what their job is?
Yes, we're on the internet and people could work on the internet and work on their computers, and a lot of people do it. A lot of people participate with the classes and exercise classes and lectures in the morning, and then they may want to skip something in the afternoon. There's a cooking class or a yoga class, but yes, there's plenty of time where they could still work, and if they have to skip a couple of classes to get the work done, people can do that.
Thank you. I want to respect your time, Dr. Fuhrman, but we'll do a couple more questions. And the first is from
all these people asking questions. That's kind of cool, right?
Yeah, they should come, and then they can sit down and with you, and you can ask them on the pickleball court. So what's the best protocol to decrease a thyroid nodule?
Sometimes people have benign thyroid nodules that can be caused by exposure to certain, let's say, plastics or endocrine disruptors. And sometimes those thyroid nodules that are followed with subsequent ultrasounds do not get larger. They just stay the same, or they get a little smaller, but they don't totally go away. And if those nodules are stable, and then there's nothing, then they're not causing a problem, and they're not causing hypothyroidism. They can just, as long as you've checked that they're not continuing to grow, we can stabilize them. They don't have to be surgically removed. And they're not going to totally go away either, because they'll still have some nodule there in the future if they check their ultrasound. But at least they're not growing anymore, and they're stable. So that's what the hope is.
Thank you. And here's one. Carolyn asks, people use weight loss drugs and ketogenic diets to reduce their appetite. What's the best way to rein in an overactive appetite?
The best way is to eat super healthfully. But we know that we have this technique that a nutritarian diet uses, and that when you combine the rich intake of green vegetables with beans at every meal, with nuts and seeds at every meal. So we measure out the ½ ounce of nuts and seeds with each meal, with the beans, with the greens, and that kind of course, they're eating other things like mushrooms, onions, eggplant, fruit, whatever else they're eating. But that combination, it leads to the release of the GLP-1, hormonal sensors, just like you took a drug. They're stable all afternoon. They were saying they're not hungry. They don't feel like they have to keep eating food all day. It's natural stimulation of your natural appetite and appestat in the brain, because we're giving people the right type of food. So when you eat beans as your major source of carbohydrates, they take a long time to digest those beans, and they feed calories into the bloodstream very slowly over a period of hours. When you eat nuts and seeds as a source of fat instead of oil, it feeds a little 1 or 2 calories a minute into the bloodstream over a source of hours, and you're not hungry for many hours without having to overeat. Now compare that when used oil as a source of calories, instead of even olive oil, it causes a lipemic rush in the blood. You get 40 calories a minute going into the blood. You get a spike of fat in the blood, and that fat in the blood affects the brain and affects the insulin resistance to then make people want to crave and overeat. So we're saying it's the features of the diet that's going to enable them to eat, to be comfortable with the correct caloric window, to be satisfied with the right amount of food, and not to have to overeat to feel satisfied, and because they're going to be so well nourished with the right balance of nutrients.
Yep. Because you always said when they undereat on micronutrients, they overeat on food.
Correct. And when and the brain, the opiate centers of the brain get stimulated by the caloric rush. So when you're eating sugar and oils and having all those calories in the bloodstream, we're talking about a glycemic rush of how much sugar is in the bloodstream, and a lipemic rush of how much fat is in the bloodstream. When you put the fat in the bloodstream and the sugar in the bloodstream, those are brain stimulating chemicals, and they get people, and they cause cravings, and they make people habituate to overeating, and they can't control their desire to eat the right amount of food. So by getting these we allow the brain to rewire itself. So the person gets now in control of knowing how much they should eat and feeling comfortable eating the right amount of food. And that's what they're doing here. That's why people come here. They come here because to rehabituate the brain and retrain their brain to know, to be comfortable eating the right amount of food and the right type of food and to enjoy the right kind of food.
And they get so much more.
Thank you.
Well, this sounds amazing, Dr. Fuhrman. Thank you so much. And guys, operators are standing by. I posted a phone number. That's the best way for them to make a reservation is to call the phone number you gave me, correct?
They have to, the only way to make a reservation is by doing it on the phone. You can't make a reservation on the internet. They could go to the drfuhrman.com and hit the retreat tab there, and they could read more about the retreat and see some, but they've learned about it already right here. Right. The phone number is the place you speak to people who are on my team. And some of the people might pick up the phone, might be my sister-in-law or my wife, and they're going to talk to these people and try to see if they can, if this is appropriate for them.
Great. And Karen says that she doesn't have any health conditions, but she would just love to come spend a month there just to get the education and cooking classes. That's allowed too, isn't it?
It's definitely, I was saying if I was a person, a healthy person who wasn't, I would love to come to you and just relax and just enjoy the beautiful surroundings and just have somebody else cook my food for me and not have to clean the kitchen and make food, right? And just enjoy yourself.
Yeah, and that sounds amazing. Well, Dr. Fuhrman, thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks, AJ. This is kind of nice to just show what I do at the retreat and share it. It's kind of
and don't you have in May also, I mean, not everybody's going to be able to come to the retreat next month, but don't you have something virtual coming up, either a summit or a challenge or
Yes, I have a weight loss challenge where people join me online and they get lectures and meetings and coaching and questions and answers. We have an online kind of thing, a retreat going on at drfuhrman.com. This yearly detox we do to bring a bunch of people together to work with us to reboot themselves to start to eat healthy. And then of course the retreat is actually really coming here and spending time with us.
Great. And the information for the online retreat can be found at drfuhrman.com.
Absolutely. Yep. On our events page.
And is it true that you're hosting a summit pretty soon?
In June, I'm releasing a plant-based cancer solutions summit. Plant-based cancer solutions summit. So myself, I'm running it. I have about 20 physician PhD guests that I'm interviewing, but I'm putting it all together to be different from other summits. So instead of just trying to try to collect people who are selling stuff with different views, I'm trying to collect the people that have the most intelligent and useful things to say. So it's really like more of a condensed summit that people can really get out of this some of the best minds about how to deal with cancer, both preventative and what to do if you have cancer. Yes, I've been working on that for the last 6 months.
Well, that sounds amazing. And when that happens, we should have you on again to make sure everybody registers.
Terrific.
All right. Thanks so much, Dr. Fuhrman.
Thank you.
Thanks. And thanks all of you for watching another episode of Chef AJ Live. Come back next Friday, the 18th.